everyone, my name's Andreas and I've got the front bumper of my 2007 Volkswagen Touareg taken off of the car. I've got it off so that way I can install a new front bumper Bullbar and winch mount that I've purchased. In order for us to install that, I'm going to have to take the front bumper and cut it so that way I can align it properly and set everything where it needs to be. I'm a little hesitant about cutting this front bumper apart because I can't exactly glue it back together. The plan is to see if we can disconnect this gray bar here at the bottom and only keep certain sections that we need. Unfortunately, I'm going to be losing the fog lights, but I have a plan for that. And I have to take off these front parking sensors and see if I can reposition them somewhere on the front bar that I'm going to be installing. So let's see what's involved with all of that. This is my Touareg. Not mine, but it's one like mine. These folks have installed a brand new front bumper and bull bar here, and that's what I've purchased and what I've got to install. If we look very carefully, they've left part of the gray reflector on here on both sides, but they've taken off the bottom part of the gray. And if you take a look at what's on this car versus what's on my front bumper, this whole piece has to come off. So we'll want to find out if we can trim right along this bottom section, carry it on straight down here, and preserve this part of the bumper. I'm going to have to find a way to remount brand new or modified versions of the fog lights because I don't want to lose those. And the front parking sensors are actually kind of convenient when parking your car in a big city. So how do you make your car look like this when it's currently in shambles with parts in your living room? Well, the same way that you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Hello everyone, and welcome to my first YouTube channel, probably my only YouTube channel that I'll ever make. I have a really cool project that I'm going to be working on today, and it's here behind me. I am going to enlist my wife to help me install my new bull bar in here. There, she's creeping in. So she's going to help me balance it as I try to align the bolts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing installed. Click. Done. I'm just doing a couple test fits to make sure everything lines up. I've got my marker and I'm just gonna see if I have to trim off a little bit more. Apparently right about here I've got to take a 1/4 inch off, but other than that it looks pretty much like it fits perfectly. So once I grind off a little more of these reflectors, then I think we should be good to go with installation and fitting of the bumper. Let's see what it looks like with everything closed up. This looks great. I'm able to fit a whole winch back here, so that's going to be our next step. We'll ensure that we wire everything up, bolt the winch down, remove this front grille, and mount our fair lead bracket. A few more things to go, but she's coming along fairly well. So today's another day, and we've got our Apex winch that we're going to be installing on our Touareg. So I'm going to open it up, and we're going to take an inventory of all the pieces that are in it, and we're going to make sure that we can mount it with no additional hardware. I might have to run and grab some bolts, but let's see what's in the box. I bought this winch about 1.5 years ago, and it's just been sitting in the basement waiting to be used. So I've got now finally everything set up on the Touareg for us to actually install it. As we unbox it, we've got our bumper stickers, we've got some product manuals. We're going to keep those and set those off to the side. And let's inventory what we have here. We've got our clip for the winch. I want to have that readily available. Looks like we've got our controller wire, controller cable. Going to see if we have that in a convenient place, or we'll see if we can store that in a convenient place in the Touareg. We've got our wireless remote. That's kind of cool. What do we have here? Ooh, this is our fair lead. So we'll need that mounted onto the Touareg so that way we don't have any of our cables bunching up any of the bumper. All right. So right down here on this plate is where we're going to be installing and mounting our winch. We'll have to move some of these cables away, but let's see how much space we have with this big bracket here. I wonder if this thing has to be actually cut off or removed. I'm hoping not, but let's see what we have in terms of clearance to work with. So the winch actually included some of the hardware that we'll need. Looks like we've got some nice big bolts and some crush washers that we can use to mount into the pre-cut slats here. And then we'll have to determine how we want to run the cables from the winch, which are the power cables, how we're going to run them from the winch to one of the battery terminals. So we've got our posts for the battery just in front of the firewall up in the driver's side. Let's just put it in place and see how it looks. Ugh. Not gonna lie, this looks pretty cool. Imagine that thing mounted right on the front of your Touareg. Remember folks, lift with your back. Save your knees. We're presented with the guide to wenching. What do we have to do? All right, that's kind of neat. That's a nice how-to. We'll keep that in the car as a tutorial. And let's see if there's a good setup. We'll see if there's any instructions in here that we should peruse before we mount anything. After a little bit of technical difficulties and batteries dying, we're going to take a pause, continue on once I figure out how to mount this the proper way. We have our faceplate mounted to the fair lead mount, and we've got a separation there to probably give us a little bit of space. I hope that's the proper way to connect it. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Oh, you have to knock out the plastic?
Da-na-na-na-na-na. So that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really appreciate all of you watching up until this point. We're going to stop the video there. I had to do a whole lot of things off camera in order to fit that front bumper over the winch. There was a lot of trimming that had to still be done. I had to reroute some of the wires that were in the way. So I figured I'd just as soon do that off the camera instead of boring you with it. So here's actually what it ends up looking like. I'm going to give you a photo here. You can see that this is ultimately the final result with the front bumper on. I have not yet installed the lights, but those are going to be coming up here in a future video. So stay tuned for that. Please do give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.